This is
ADACHI!
his favorite psychotic slacker from Persona 4. Ironically enough, part 5 of this crime series that I've had. Now, fun fact, actually, this was originally going to be the very first crime video I ever did. Instead, I did Postal Dude, which I kind of enjoyed more because it was a new series to my channel. And also, one of my favorite videos. ADACHI has had it coming for a long time. I mean, back when I did the Junko video, he was the second option, like, with the most votes. So I thought, hey, why not do it now? So considering that ADACHI is probably my favorite Persona villain, I think he's everyone's, to be honest, but still, this is basically going to be like every other one of my crime videos. We're going to be charging him for the maximum amount of time possible. And also, for the sake of argument, like I did with Junko, because both her and ADACHI are Japanese, we're going to just be using the American justice system just because I know that better and it's way easier in all honesty. And also, we're mainly going to be sticking to Persona 4 Golden. However, if there is anything of note to mention in like Persona 4 Arena, which I'm pretty sure that's the only other appearance of ADACHI with like actual significant story reason, I'll be sure to mention it towards the end or just randomly in the video. Also, about Namatame, because he's pretty important. We'll get there when we get there, but basically, we're not going to just charge ADACHI with every crime Namatame committed, even though he did basically manipulate him into doing it. I'll only mention specific cases where I think it counts, and I'll actually explain it in the video itself. Also, I mentioned this in every video, I am not a law expert or anything like that, and this is purely for fun, so feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, or if I missed anything, let me know. Alright, we're starting off with the big guns here. His worst, most despicable crime yet, loitering. Okay, this one's kind of a joke, but you can also count it. I didn't count it for like the Nicole and Jekka videos, because I literally made the argument, loitering, like, it's very rare people will actually get in trouble for loitering, unless it's like private property, or like you're doing something like dealing drugs or something. I'm just referring to this because this motherfucker just sits outside of Junes and does literally fuck all. And he literally does it to avoid going to work or actually doing anything. He literally gets spooked when you see him and also begs you not to tell Dojima. So yeah, and also I say this too because we don't see him like buy anything. At least the investigation team, sure, you could say they're loitering, but at least like they're there for a reason and then they leave eventually, and then, you know, they still like, they buy stuff. They usually like eat food or buy like drinks or something there. We don't know if ADACHI, so that's why I'm counting it. Yeah, for the worst of it, it's like 6 months in jail, but if you really don't want to count this, I don't blame you. It's just kind of funny. Yeah, no, but for real this time, we have first-degree murder. And this time, in this video, we're actually going to be counting, like, the amount of people towards the total. I only really did this last time with Postal Dude because we had exact numbers, and luckily for ADACHI here, we have exact numbers about how many people he's killed, which funnily enough, he's only killed these two people, like, actually directly. There's a reason I say that, but yeah, he only killed Saki and Yamano. So yeah, that's gonna be 2 life sentences. Now we're on the topic of these two, sexual assault, which surprisingly, this is a new one for this series. Actually, I think there's gonna be a few new crimes in this video, but yeah, sexual assault because, well, for Saki, who also is a minor, there's probably some extra charge to that or some extra crime or penalty. I'm not sure what that is, and I don't really want to look that up. I think it's just bad enough, so it's still sexual assault. Like, we literally see him, like, grab her and, like, put his hands on her. And same with Yamano. So technically, it's less explicit with Yamano, but he literally mentions the fact that she had an affair with Namatame in the first place. So yeah, it is purely for romantical / sexual reasons, so. Okay, so quick update. I literally just looked this up now just to make sure. There are 2 types. There's sexual assault and sexual battery. Battery is like aggravated and like more like, I guess, hostile. While the assault is like not as much as, at least that's what I think from what I read. I'll put what I'm like looking at on screen. So for my rationale, I think I'll explain myself with this. Basically, I think with Saki, that's more just sexual abuse, I guess, because ADACHI didn't seem that angry at first. It was more so like after fact, and then he pushed her in. But I guess Yamano, it seemed more like pushed her in because of what happened with Namatame, that she was unfaithful or whatever. So that's my rationale. I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying because he's getting in trouble for both of them anyway. And also, I learned with Saki, the thing about her being a minor, yeah, yeah, it increases the punishment. So sexual assault for Saki, and it's 15 years. And then sexual battery for Yamano, 10 years. Like I said, I'm not a law expert, so feel free to correct me, and especially this, because this is like a new crime I haven't done before in a video, so it's a little complicated, so I don't know. Let me know what you think, or if I'm wrong about that. Child endangerment is basically, you could argue, honestly, the whole game is child endangerment. Like, the whole investigation team going into the TV, save people because they could have died at any moment. And in gameplay, they probably have died, you know, more than a couple times. I'm not really counting that. What I'm mainly referring to is with Namatame, and yeah, this is where I like get into me explaining why I would charge Adachi for some of these crimes too, and not Namatame. One, first of all, Namatame, it's just not as interesting, honestly, as a video idea. Like, more people care about Adachi. But the real reason, honestly, though, is Adachi is the main guy involved, and in the games, he's the one masterminding the whole thing. Namatame genuinely believed he was saving people. I feel like without Adachi, he wouldn't have done this. Also, I'm referring to Nanako, when Nanako gets kidnapped by Namatame, and he literally gets in a high-speed chase with fucking Dojima, and literally, she probably could have died during that whole incident and Dojima getting in that car crash in general. So I'm not counting Adachi as being part of the driving, like the reckless driving, because that was just purely Namatame, obviously. I just thought I'd mention that. Speaking of Namatame-related crimes, this is where I'm also gonna count attempted murder for basically all of the victims, aka your party members. Because for those of you who don't know, in Persona 4, all the victims that you have to save from the TV world itself, your actual party members, and once you save them, they join your party. And Namatame is the one that, like, kidnapped them and everything. Again, he thought he was genuinely saving people. This doesn't really excuse his actions because he is still kidnapping people, but I'm counting this as Adachi's work. The kidnapping itself, but just the attempted murder angle. Yeah, attempted murder is 15 years, and Yukiko, Kanji, Rise, Naoto, all the people that he attempted to murder, but obviously, you know, if you actually play the game correctly, you save them all. Also, corruption, which is basically just any type of, just like severe misconduct in like an important position, such as like obviously like law, or like if a company, like someone was committing like fraud and stuff like that. And I think this counts for Adachi because I mean, he's literally a corrupt cop. Technically detective, but you know what I mean, same difference in this case. He's a police detective, so it counts. Anyways, 15 years. It's also blackmailing, which literally happens like right before Nanako gets kidnapped. At least I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong about this, because my memory of this game, it's a little hazy and it's been like over a couple years since I've actually beaten it. He directly makes threats towards the protagonist. Like, he mails a letter to the Dojima household basically saying that if you guys don't stop like saving people, that he's gonna kidnap someone close to you. Blackmail is 10 years in prison. Also, unlawful use of a firearm, and I mean, yeah, that's one of Adachi's defining character traits in spin-off media too, even in Arena, but mainly in the actual game itself. This motherfucker wields that gun like it's his fucking like birthright. Not illegal possession of a firearm because he is a cop, so he has a right to have it, but he's basically just waving it around constantly, threatening people with it. Although, funnily enough, canonically, he never actually shoots anybody with it because the game would just be over. Speaking of which, abuse of power. Obviously, there's multiple cases of him doing this, basically using his police influence to like isolate people, like with Saki, and literally stating that the main reason he became a police officer was so that he could have a gun. In Japan, you can't really just own a gun casually like here in America. Well, as like a civilian at least. Also, the biggest case of this is him manipulating Namatame into doing what he did, because Adachi's literally also directly responsible for that by basically playing on Namatame's emotions and saying that, giving him the idea that like, hey, you could save this girl by kidnapping her or just isolating her in a safe place. Namatame obviously like completely out of his mind, and also, as he explains later, like drunk. Basically trying to do the right thing, but without realizing. Another but separate example of this is also tampering with evidence, which in itself is a crime that's unrelated to this, but is another example. From what I found, tampering with evidence, and by the way, this is in the accomplice route, which is technically the non-canon, like, ending to the game, but I still count it. And you could argue with me if that really counts since it's not canon, but I feel like it's just something that he should have done in the first place, to be honest. Also, you could technically argue that Yu is the one that does it, not Adachi himself, but he's the one that literally gives you the lighter. There's also the obvious one that I somehow didn't talk about till now is obstruction of justice, which basically amounts to framing someone or just obscuring the truth, which, I mean, fits well with Persona's themes, especially Persona 4. Yeah, you could also count this if you really don't want to count him burning the evidence in the accomplice route. For me, I'm counting both, and this is mainly referring to him basically trying to blame or pin the blame on Amatame, obviously, which is 10 years in prison. And yeah, that's basically gonna be it for every crime that I can find. Obviously, like I said, I'm not perfect and not a law expert, so let me know down in the comments below what you would add or think should be changed, or basically anything like that. But without further ado, let's add up the total. So the total number of crimes is 277 years in prison, which puts him just around the same range as Nicole and Jekka, funnily enough. Actually under Jekka, which is kind of surprising. Again, there's probably more that you could charge Adachi with, but this was everything that I can specifically find. Again, I've always probably missed something here and there, so correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, and what would you add to his crimes if you could? Remember I said I was gonna add Arena if I could find anything, but to be fair, I didn't really play Arena like that, especially the story mode. Like, I played Arena a lot, like just, you know, the actual, like, as a fighting game, but I never really played the story mode that much, and especially when I did, it was only like the first story. It wasn't with the Adachi stuff, so I didn't want to talk about something I wasn't fully confident in. Yeah, also let me know if there's anything in episode Adachi that has any more crimes or anything like that. But yeah, and also let me know who you would want to see next for this series. I'm kind of getting a little tired of doing villains, so I would like to do some more heroic characters. I know that's kind of like hard because a lot of like good guys don't commit that much crimes, but there's way more than you think. And honestly, if I did another Persona one, maybe a Akechi or the Phantom Thieves, to be honest, if I wanted to go the heroic route. The Phantom Thieves are still criminals, even though they are doing the right thing. Yeah, let me know who you would want to see below, and yeah, see ya.